Hello, everyone. Craig Titus could have built a wonderful career in bodybuilding, but problems with the law, a difficult character, and a violent temper did not allow him to do this. Instead of recognizing the glory of the Sandoval statuette and standing ovation at the Mr. Olympia tournament, he received his own order, a cramped cell in prison, a huge sentence for murder, and a ruined fate. The life of Craig Titus is worth making a movie about, and there could only be one genre for this film, a thriller with detective elements. But let's talk about everything in order. Craig Michael Titus was born on January 14, 1967 in the small town of Wyandotte, Michigan. Craig's father was Greek and his mother was French. Titus was the oldest of the children. He also had a younger brother, Kevin, and a younger sister, Nicole. At school, our hero played American football but could not continue his career because he was short and did not have the right weight. He weighed only 60 kilograms with a height of 175 centimeters. Therefore, wanting to gain some muscle mass after graduation, Craig started going to the gym. The training results surprised not only the guy but also his coaches. Titus noticed that his body was responding very well to the load. Craig began to make rapid progress in weight and muscle volume. At the age of 20, Craig got a job at a tunnel construction company where his father and uncle also worked. Due to his new job, he had to move to Texas. Craig Titus began his competitive career at the age of 21, winning the 1988 Houston Championships in the middleweight division and in the absolute. He weighed 79 kilograms at the time, but nevertheless showed excellent form, with which he was able to defeat everyone. Also in the absolute standings, it was a great debut. I weighed 79 kilograms, and even with that weight, I managed to win the absolute, Craig recalled. Lee Labrada, who attended the tournament as a guest, highly appreciated Titus's potential and advised him to think about a professional career. Believe me, hearing something like this from a legend of the golden era of bodybuilding is the best motivation to achieve a goal, Craig said. Although bodybuilding had been nothing more than a way for Titus to release his accumulated tension before this event, at that moment he firmly decided to devote himself to building a body. There, Craig met the famous nutritionist Keith Klein and became friends with bodybuilder Jim Queen. Craig continued to participate in tournaments every year, achieving good results. He soon quit his job and started working as a personal trainer. Craig started performing once a year and gradually achieved good results. First place in the Houston Championship in 1989, the following year he won the Western States Cup. And then, from 1993 to 1995, he performed 3 times at national tournaments, where he finished 4th once and twice stopped a step away from victory. In 1994, at the U.S. Amateur Championship, Craig loses by a few points to another young athlete, Dennis Newman. The following year, the situation repeats with Paul DeMeo, but second places are definitely not enough for an ambitious athlete. He dreams only of winning, and all this is fueled by the fact that his photos are increasingly appearing on magazine covers, and the name Craig Titus is often mentioned in professional conversations about the future of bodybuilding. It would seem that everything is going well, but then the fun begins. In 1995, Craig was first arrested for distributing illegal substances and sentenced to house arrest for 16 months. An electronic bracelet was hung on his leg, which was used to track his location, and although the arrest restricted our hero's movement, he did not affect his ability to train. Therefore, Titus continues to prepare for future starts and is slowly getting in shape. And in 1996, he excelled at the U.S. Heavyweight and Overall Championships, receiving a pro card as well as the opportunity to compete with the best of the best. It would seem that the dream has come true. There are Mr. Olympia and Arnold Classic tournaments ahead, as well as substantial royalties and sponsorship contracts. But the reality turned out to be somewhat different. Craig was able to compete in his first pro tournament only 4 years after receiving the card, and the blame for everything was the ongoing problems with the law. In 1997, he violated his probation. Titus was convicted of trafficking in steroid drugs and sentenced to 21 months in prison, and they were sent to serve a real sentence. The only thing he regretted then was the inability to train like a true professional for almost 2 years. While the former opponents were growing the mass and polishing the relief, I was behind bars, Titus recalled. After being released in 1999, he decides to prepare for the Ironman Pro 2000 tournament. He goes on stage and shows a very good result for a debut, takes the 8th place. The first 3 places were taken by the magnificent Chris Cormier, Flex Wheeler, and Dexter Jackson. Until 2005, Titus participated in as many as 20 different tournaments but never won a single show. He took 2nd place at the San Francisco PRO, twice became 6th at the Arnold Classic, performed at the Night of Champions and Ironman. He also tried out for Mr. Olympia twice but never made it into the top 10. At the 2001 Olympia, he finished 12th, and a year later he took 11th place. Well, now we come to the most interesting fact of our hero's biography. Craig Titus was married to Kellyanne Ryan, who was a fairly successful competitive athlete in those years. They met in 1995 at the Fitness America contest, and on June 6, 2000, they got married. They were one of the most successful and recognizable fitness couples in the world, and they owned a $500,000 house in Las Vegas. But in 2005, a tragedy happened that broke their fate. Craig and Kelly were accused of murdering their assistant Melissa James, who came to Las Vegas to help the couple launch a sportswear production line. Her burned body was found in a Jaguar car that belonged to Kelly. This story is worthy of a detective thriller script. There are several versions of this tragedy. According to one story, Melissa James embezzled a substantial sum of money from the couple's bank account to spend it on buying a batch of drugs. According to another version, she had an intimate relationship with Titus, and Kelly Ryan found out about it and killed her. The autopsy revealed the presence of morphine in Melissa's blood, her neck was wrapped with metal wire, her mouth was taped shut, and there were traces of a stun gun on her body. According to the official decision of the medical examination, Melissa's death occurred as a result of drug intoxication, and all other injuries were inflicted on her later. Titus and Ryan tried to escape to Greece in the homeland of Craig's father. In addition, Greece did not have an agreement with the United States on the extradition of fugitives. However, the couple failed to escape, and after 9 days they were detained, and for a long time the couple did not admit their guilt, until the trial, which took place on May 30, 2008. The police managed to find out that they had an accomplice named Anthony Gross, who was the first to admit his guilt, for which he received only a probation period. The court passed the following verdict: the death penalty for Kelly and Craig. But since the prosecution was not fully convinced of its necessity, they were sentenced to a long term of imprisonment. Kelly Ryan received a sentence of 6 to 26 years in prison. She was released on parole in 2017. Craig Titus was sentenced to a term of 21 to 51 years in prison with the possibility of parole from December 23, 2026. He is being held at Lovelock Correctional Center, a state prison in Nevada. This wording implies that the prisoner has the right to early release after the expiration of the lower limit of the term. That is, in the case of Titus, it's after 21 years, but he can spend the whole term in prison. In 2009, Kellyanne Ryan and Craig Titus divorced while in prison. Despite the fact that colleagues in sports and the audience knew Craig as a hot-tempered and arrogant person, he was a great athlete and was genetically gifted by nature. If it weren't for his terrible temper, he would most likely have been able to achieve good results in bodybuilding. On the website of the prison where Craig is serving his sentence, there is his appeal to fans in which he says, "I never thought that I would be contacting you from the prisoner's website, but here I am. Don't believe everything they write about me. Some of this is true and some of it is not. It's a long story. If you want to know the truth, write and I will share it with you. Just know that I'm a normal person and I need true friends. I work 5 days a week to keep fit, and I also keep track of all current events. I enjoy reading novels and listening to various kinds of music. Don't forget to provide your address when you write to me, as I can't reply to your email from here. I am looking forward to your letters." Craig Titus is currently serving his sentence in prison. It is likely that he will be able to be released as early as December 23, 2026. This is the date of his application for early release. But how he will return and whether he will return at all is a completely different story. And as always, I will be grateful for your support. It helps in the development of the channel. Please like, subscribe to the channel, share the video with your friends, and do not forget to click on the bell so as not to miss the new release. Thanks for watching. Sports Guru was with you. See you later.